providing for you. I'd also like to introduce you to Susan Baka, who is going to be our speaker for today. Susan is our Ontario representative at TFO Canada. She also helps SMEs in developing countries access the Canadian market. Susan is an advocate for women exporters. She is an authority on the international trade, women's entrepreneurship, and diversity. She's a prolific writer and global speaker on trade and has presented in Europe, Africa, and at the World Trade Organization in Geneva in the recent years. She's the founder of the Organization of Women in International Trade, the OWIT Toronto, and she has served on the international board for over a decade. She is also a senior consultant to Grow Trade Consulting, where she provides trade facilitation services for United States companies looking to enter the Canadian market. Susan has also served on the Canadian Minister of International Trade's SME Advisory Board from 2008 to 2011 and represents OWIT in stakeholder consultations. She also she's also honored with international awards, including the OWIT International 2019 Woman of the Year Award for her 20 years of volunteer contributions to raise the profile of women in trade and for inspiring women to do business globally. And at the TIAW World of Difference Award, which recognizes 100 women worldwide for contributing to women's economic empowerment. Susan is also one of our regional representatives, and she's a part of the TFO Canada team. So I'm just going to ask that if you guys have any questions during the presentation, you could type them in the chat box, and at the end, Susan and her assistant, Allison, are going to be answering all the questions for you. So you don't have to wait till the end to write your questions. As the presentation is going, if you have any, you can just write them in the chat box. Okay. So I'm going to pass it over. I'm still going to accept a few more people into the room, and then in about 4 minutes, Susan is going to take over. Hi, Sonia. If you're having a hard time, perhaps you should leave the room and re-enter the room again. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Susan, Susan Baka, who's going to be the speaker for today. Please hold.
Thank you, Rosalind, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. So thank you for joining in today to hear about digital marketing and selling in a new world. The pandemic has certainly changed the way consumers and businesses shop, and this push towards online browsing and buying is expected to continue even after the pandemic slows. Now, I believe that the businesses that will be most successful will be those that adopt a strong digital presence early and fast. So in order to help you be one of those businesses, Today I'm going to talk about digital marketing trends in North America, the impacts of COVID-19, and cost-effective ways to market your products or services in a post-COVID world. As we all know, it's a world that has been massively impacted socially and economically, a world in which new ways of communicating and doing business are emerging, and a world that relies even more on digital communications than ever. So, how will you cope? Well, I believe by embracing the changes and using them to their best advantage. Now, some of you may be doing the things that I'll talk about already, which is great, and this will be a reinforcement, and perhaps you'll pick up some new ideas. So I think we probably have a range of people, and whether or not you are engaged in digital marketing, my hope is that there will be some takeaways that can help you. So, what is digital marketing? Well, it's an umbrella term for all online marketing efforts. So whether that's websites, social media, email, video, and beyond. I mean, there really is a large spectrum of digital tactics to consider. So I'm going to talk about a few of them later. But the best digital marketers know which channels their audience uses, and they have a clear picture of how each supports their goals. So first, I want to look at the digital marketing trends before COVID-19. It's not as if selling online is something new. E-commerce has seen tremendous growth within North America and elsewhere in the last decade. In fact, e-commerce represented half of the growth in retail sales in the U.S. in 2017, and it just continues to grow. And while sales of many things are down because of coronavirus, many sales that are happening online. And we all know that global e-commerce is rapidly growing too. North American shoppers are happy to look for products across borders and from international marketplaces, and that's causing an increase in e-commerce sales around the globe. A big trend in digital marketing is content marketing, which is a marketing program that centers on creating, publishing, and distributing content for your target audience, usually online. And the goal is to attract new customers and reinforce relationships with your existing ones. It's a specific strategy of writing content that your audience will find valuable and that showcases your expertise. So it's not sales pitches. I mean, here's a couple examples of content marketing that I'm sure many of you are quite familiar with. So there's email marketing. Those are sort of those quick e-blasts that we get about something new or a special offer. We're seeing lots of those people are sending out now because they're doing webinars. Or email marketing is an e-newsletter on topics of interest to your target audience. Another example is blogging, which is, of course, a series of online articles of interest to targeted specifically to the wants and needs of your target audience. It brings them to your website, and then it shows you really to be an expert in your field. Now, of course, a huge and ever-growing trend in digital marketing is social media, which is a great way to do content marketing. This slide shows which platforms are the most popular, with Facebook topping the list by far. However, LinkedIn is high in the popularity list of business people, and it tends to be their preferred platform. And almost 90% of Canadians have an internet connection. Nearly all of them use social media to some extent, and well over half use it every single day. It's not just to connect with friends and family. A recent survey showed that 80% of their social media time is actually spent interacting with companies. Now, Canadians are big on following brands and businesses on social media as well, which you can see on this slide. With so many of us using social media and being loyal to our favorite platforms, before COVID-19, social media became a critical part of any marketer's toolbox. It's for that reason that smart companies have created their own social media pages to attract followers. Big companies even have staff devoted to social media. So they're adding content, they're monitoring the reactions, and they're responding to the comments. Now, one reason that this staff was hired is, unfortunately, a growing portion of the time Canadians spend on social media is spent complaining to or about a business, primarily on Facebook and Twitter, when they're not happy about something. Now, creating your page obviously takes time, but is free, as you may know. And if you do choose to take the time, remember that you have to carefully and frequently monitor what you do and respond quickly and professionally to inquiries and complaints. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So clearly, selling is the way to, online is the way to go. Full steam ahead. And then COVID-19 happened. I'm not going to talk about the human toll and economic devastation that has happened here and around the world that you all know about. Instead, here are some things that happened in North America and indeed in many places around the world that have affected online behavior. Before the pandemic, 6% of Canadians were working from home. The number now is roughly equal to the number of those working outside of the home, as COVID-19 has forced millions to flee their typical job locations. Many think this change will be permanent. I actually just read this morning an interview with the president of Walmart Canada. He calls it the at-home economy. So I think that that's a good way of capturing it. Events have been canceled, postponed, or gone virtual. There's been an explosion of business and personal online connection through virtual Zoom meetings and Facebook, etc. Many people are still afraid to go to stores or offices, and even groceries have been delivered by sellers. Now, people are still buying online, but consumer behavior has changed somewhat. And in fact, 21% of Canadians are shopping online even more frequently than they used to. But not only that, people who have never shopped online before are doing it now, in particular the elderly. So what's even more important, people plan to continue. 33% of Canadians expect to shop more online post-COVID. And it appears that some retailers are doing it better than others because a large number of shoppers have changed their preferred place to shop since COVID-19 began. And most of those who switched expect to stay switched. The reasons that people plan to continue to shop online are good things to keep in mind when you're building an e-commerce website or doing any digital marketing. I mean, it's obviously more convenient than going to a bricks and mortar store. They can more easily organize and stick to their shopping list. It's easier to find deals online, and this is something to remember when you do your marketing because everyone loves to think they're saving money. And right now, people obviously have health and safety concerns when they go to a store that are not, of course, present online. It's hard to say if it will remain this way, but the new online shopper has changed. And I believe that these changes are good for international sellers like you who want to grab a piece of the competitive pie. Because these new online shoppers are more open-minded and impulsive. They are willing to try new products, more willing to buy a different brand, more willing to buy private label, and more willing to browse. So not only are all of the pre-COVID digital marketing tactics still valid, they are all even more valid now. Full steam ahead for sure. Now, that may be easy to say, but hard to do if your budgets are tight in these difficult times. Now, I've talked about some of the impacts on your customers and your prospects, but what to do about the impacts on your business? I mean, think about what you can do that doesn't have a huge cost, like investigate social media and get on those platforms that could work for your business if you're not already there. The social media sites will definitely be bigger and have more impact than ever before. But focus on content and adding value to your customers' lives when you're putting content on. Review your marketing strategy. I mean, are you doing enough online marketing? How are you doing it? Things have changed. Do you need to as well? I mean, but by this I mean acknowledge where people are at. Are they bored, scared, losing loved ones? So you want to empathize with them and talk about what your brand stands for. Are you donating to charity? Are you helping your local community by employing people there? Eco-friendly, sustainable. I know many of you have these characteristics, so now more than ever is the time to communicate that. And you want to review and update your website content to reflect your customers' pain points. Although there are a number of digital marketing techniques, I'm going to focus on 3 tried and true ones: email marketing, social media, and websites, including e-commerce, and I'll share some best practices that you can use. So, email marketing. Now, recent data shows that 3/4 of companies agree that email marketing offers excellent to good return on investment. Collecting email addresses from visitors to your site, asking them, to opt in to your future communications, you can give these visitors a reason to keep coming back to your site and again via offers you can send or sales or VIP discounts and more. The best way to collect email addresses is to offer some valuable content for free on your site. We call these lead generators. So, for example, you sell scarves. Well, you could offer an instruction sheet with 10 different ways to wear that new scarf. Or if you sell food, you could give a document that talks about how to store it if it's a vegetable, or different cultural usages if it's a processed food that's common to your country, along with recipes. And when you start your email marketing this database, you can feature a scarf of the month or a recipe of the month. And another good way to collect email addresses is to do surveys on your website. Now, e-blasts versus e-newsletters. I mean, you're likely, familiar with these. An e-blast tends to be shorter and often includes a call to action, maybe a special offer. If you sell a product, an e-blast could offer a discount or tell readers about a new product and the benefits of it. An e-newsletter is typically longer with more than one article on a topic of interest to your readers. If you offer a service where showcasing your expertise would help grow a business, then this is a great technique. I mean, a travel agent, for instance, could talk about how to choose a vacation that meets the reader's personal interests, or how to decide what to pack, or how to stay safe during these times of COVID when you have to travel. All right, so here are some email marketing best practices. Keep it personal. Whether it's an e-newsletter or an e-blast, as the sender, the trick is to ensuring that you don't get mixed in with people's junk mail. So to personalize your messages, address your customer by name, and be sure to always include your signature block and contact info at the bottom. There are numerous email marketing services will do this for you. I like Constant Contact. MailChimp is another popular one that people in North America use. Now, just a quick tip, a cultural thing. It is a North American practice to say, hello, Susan, or hi, Susan, rather than dear Susan in email communications. Secondly, be creative. Use colorful and compelling language. This is where, like, writing a real catchy subject line will entice your customer or prospect to keep reading. Now, for example, which email would you be more inclined to open? One that says, ABC Company scarves on sale, or 24 hours only, huge reductions on in-season scarves. Or here's another example. Would you rather open ABC Company July newsletter, or thinking of traveling, 5 ways to stay safe you may not know about? There you go, just some ideas for you to get people to open them. Number 3, always test your links before sending. I mean, this should be a no-brainer, but I'm surprised how often people don't do this. Number 4, invite feedback. Be sure to include a response mechanism or ask your readers for feedback and ideas on other areas that they'd like to see covered. Remember that a simple way to keep your finger on the pulse of what your audience wants is just to ask them. And 5, maintain your frequency. Regular distribution will keep your business top of mind with customers, help ensure that, communication with them doesn't fall through the cracks. I believe that monthly frequency is good for e-newsletters. But whatever you do, don't be a spammer. Your communications should be sent on a with permission only basis. Always offer recipients a way to opt out of receiving them and an easy way to contact you with any comments that they may have. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of samples here. This is an e-blast from Padraig Consulting, which is a coaching firm. And although it's not visible on this slide, below Patrick's signature line is some good soft sell copy that'll show you how you meld, getting that in, but in a subtle way. So what he says is, P.S. Ready to boost your success and your team's success? I'm happy to hop on a quick call with you to talk about whether we might be able to help. No obligation, honestly, just a quick chat to explore. If we're not a good fit, we don't want to pressure you into working with us. The only way we keep getting rave reviews from clients if there is a good fit and we can truly help you succeed. To set up a short complimentary call with one of us, click here. So I think that's very an effective way to do it. Here's another one. A B2B example. You can see that they have a good subject line, Pitch Perfect, the art of pitching via video. And they personalized this one to me. Okay, so let's move on now to social media. I talked earlier about its popularity in North America and beyond. And of course, we all know that popularity is just, it's only going to grow. So you really don't want to underestimate the power of social media when it comes to marketing. Before jumping in, however, into whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you want to consider a few things first if you're not already there. Understand your target audience. How do they use social media and which platforms do they use? And which platforms suit your products or services the best? I always recommend that regardless of what social media you use, sign up on LinkedIn. A good personal and or business page there helps make you look professional, trustworthy, and legitimate. And many people go to check others out this way. And also know what you're signing up for. I mean, using a social network is a big commitment. It takes time to set it up, get people to join, to post and update content, and monitor the results. Here's some social media best practices that I'd like to share. You want to research what your competitors are using and whether they've successfully marketed their products or services before you follow their lead. Don't get forgotten. I mean, if your most recent post is a year old, it not only makes it difficult to attract new followers, but it'll make people wonder if you're even still in business. Make yourself a schedule of when to post and stick to it. And of course, monitor. Which of your posts got the most responses? Which ones were ignored? I mean, knowing this will help you with future ones and even help you reevaluate your marketing strategies. You want to experiment, find out what works best and drive sales and revenues. And don't be afraid to try videos. People like to complain on social media, as I mentioned. So you need to know when you need to keep close track, and you need to know when someone has said something negative about your business and respond as quickly as possible. However, take a deep breath before you respond, though. Even if a complaint or a comment is untrue or seems ridiculous, responding in anger make you look unprofessional. I'll just share a bit of a personal story about a client I've worked with, which is a luxury vacation resort. And one guest complained on Facebook about everything that you can imagine. There wasn't enough shade. They said the mattresses were too soft. So this is how we had the client respond. We said, we do understand that the softness of beds is a personal preference. That is why we did accommodate you by purchasing plywood for under your mattress, and why we purchased a thinner piece when you said that the mattress was then too hard. A day later, the complainer took down their post. Okay, now websites. Before I go into the best practices, on this slide, here's a couple of very basic things that I see that drive me crazy on websites. Number one, bad descriptions. Many sites are simply not clear about what the business does. You need to have a good, simple description on your homepage that will be understandable to anyone visiting your site. The other thing that I see an awful lot of is contact information that is missing or difficult to find. Make it easy for people to connect with you. Just having a contact us form, I find, is a turn off. You really want to, give your email address and a phone number if you can as well. Okay, so now best practices. The mobile-friendly theme, more than half of web traffic now comes from mobile devices, which means it's essential to use a mobile-friendly theme when building or updating your website. You've all probably heard of search engine optimization, I'm sure. So that means optimizing your site so search engines can easily find you. I mean, this can be a whole webinar in itself. So just a couple of important points here are to include good keywords in your content. I mean, the kind of words that people would use to search for your type of product or services. And importantly, refresh. By that I mean change your web content frequently. New visitors will, new information will give visitors a reason to keep coming back, and it'll boost your chances of getting noticed by search engines. Put social media icons and links at the top right or left of your homepage, not forcing people to scroll to the bottom of the page. Limit your tabs at the top to 6. Have multiple places to capture email addresses. Use video on your website. Post it on YouTube first, and then you can post a link on your website. And although it's not noted on this slide, I mean, something basic to ensure is that if you are selling in multiple languages, make sure that you have proper translations and spellings in all of your communications. So I'm just going to share a couple of examples of what I think are visually appealing websites. First Idea Consulting, I mean, this one looks appealing to me because as management consultants, they've gone for a very professional look and branding. The site doesn't have too many tabs, and its social media icons are at the top right, not hidden at the bottom of the homepage. And it offers a newsletter so that they can build their database. One suggestion, they could have more calls to action. For example, on each service offering, there could be something like contact us now to get started and a link. Visually, another one, this one, Yellow Fruit, it's a nice looking site in keeping with the products they sell. It's clean and easy to navigate. And it has a smart way to gather email address. If you go onto their site on the URL, you'll see that this appears as a pop-up, you'll see how they're collecting names through a draw to build their database. One suggestion is I would put the social media links at the top right, not at the bottom of the page. Turning now to e-commerce. There are many experts on this topic. I'm just going to share some basic information and tips. Canadians have high expectations when shopping online. Surveys show that many online shoppers are dramatically undersatisfied with the experience they've had. All age groups are undersatisfied, with the younger shoppers in the 18 to 34 age range being the most dissatisfied. I think the reasons for this are simple, that online sellers are just missing the basics of navigation and layout, and shoppers are having a difficult time finding categories that they want. So here are some best practices that you could use. Enticing product descriptions. I mean, it may be true that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a good product description can land the sale. You include the size of the product, special features. I mean, wording like made from organic fabric or locally sourced, and include reasons your customer would want to own it. Maybe it matches every outfit, or easier to use, or you won't beat this price. Add beautiful product images. I mean, visuals are extremely important, obviously, for online buyers who can't, touch the products before making a purchase. So along with product pictures, if you can, add context by incorporating images of models using the product and videos that give customers a 360-degree view of or show how to use it. Adding a frequently asked questions page helps potential customers quickly and easily find the information they need to complete a purchase. Reduce images for quick download times. Did you know that more than half of website visitors expect a page to load in less than 2 seconds? And at more than 3 seconds, they leave the page and aren't likely to return. So you want to keep the size of those images small so they load quickly. And then you want to include customer reviews, images from social media, testimonials on your site. It's not just you who's saying the product or service is great, it's your happy customers who are saying it, and that's far more powerful. Include shipping information. Is it free? How much time does it take? What are the options? Do you ship to all countries? What is your return policy? Add upsell options at the bottom. I mean, for example, buy this matching skirt for the sweater that you just purchased. And having a countdown timer on the checkout page helps ensure people don't abandon. Also, just be honest and transparent. Example, are shipping times delayed due to supply chain issues? Just let your customers know if this is the case. I'm going to show you here a couple of site examples. First, Malika Gifts and Interiors. They have some good elements. I find it interesting that you can see products and start shopping right from their home page. At the same time, navigation for non-shopping parts of the site are easy too. Again, it offers a newsletter sign-up. This next one, Simon's. Simon's is a national retail chain in Canada with bricks and mortar stores plus online shopping. And like Maleka, you can see products and start shopping right from their homepage. They sell a large variety of items in many categories, but they've designed their site to make it easy to find what you're looking for. Now, there are a ton of e-commerce website builders out there, including but not limited to those you see here. These are some of the less expensive ones, all easy to use, no coding skills required. And they'll help you make a good-looking e-commerce site. Where, though, not all features are available in all countries, so you have to do your research. I'm hearing a lot of good comments lately about Shopify. It's a Canadian multinational e-commerce company, and it's also the name of its own e-commerce platform for online stores and retail point-of-sale systems. It supports businesses around the world to make e-commerce better for all. You can create a website and use their shopping cart solution to sell, ship, and manage your products. It's a very flexible platform to make running business as easy as possible. I'm using it as an example because, like others, it offers a range of features and a range of prices. If you just want to try it out, you can do it for, I believe, about $10 a month. And also, I heard one of their folks speaking recently and talked about their free trial option. So it operates on a month-to-month basis to ensure you're happy, and it's well set up to take you along the journey and to go global. Just here are some features. There's like something like 70 plus website themes to choose from, an easy-to-use admin panel where you can add products, process orders, and enter store data, payment options built in, pages designed so you can get good rankings on Google when people search, and you can use it a point-of-sale app worldwide and promote and sell on multiple sales channels like social media and Amazon from within Shopify. But make sure you do your research, though, because not all social media platforms with e-commerce are available outside the U.S. Instagram, for instance, lets companies sell online, but only if in the U.S. Now, when searching for the best platform and software, such as an e-commerce website builder to meet your needs, here are some factors to consider. You should be able to customize ready-made themes that allow you to personalize and add your branding. Make sure that you get a custom domain name and URL so you don't have to include the platform's name in your website URL. Take the time to explore the platform service in detail because if an emergency crops up, you want to be sure you'll have fast, reliable support at a moment's notice. And then customers want to pay in a variety of ways today. So look for an e-commerce software solution that's flexible enough to support many different secure payment options. Also, your customers may be coming from all over the world, so it's a good idea to work with a tool that supports many different languages. Now, a word about Amazon. It's probably the world's largest online marketplace, as you all know, an e-commerce site that offers many different products from many different sellers. It's a great place to sell, but as a business, you will need an Amazon professional seller account, which is around $39 US a month. Note that many of the e-commerce website builders that I talked about earlier can also sync your web store to Amazon. Now, this next slide shows other well-known marketplaces. There are also niche online marketplaces, for example, in the fashion industry. And now there are, I think, probably hundreds of online marketplaces that you could potentially leverage to reach customers doing their online shopping. So it's a lot to consider, but remember, you obviously don't have to go after all of them at once, and you just need to determine which are the best fit for your brand. So to wrap up, digital marketing is not a trend. It isn't going away anytime soon. And selling goods and services on the internet highly benefits both you, the seller, as well as buyers. I mean, particularly in these uncertain times. And I think digital marketing is especially good for small businesses within our global village. It really does level the playing field, and it makes distances between us unimportant. So I do hope that you've been able to pick up some practical tips in what I've covered here today. Full steam ahead with your digital marketing. And here is CFO's website and my contact information. And thank you very much for joining. We will share these slides with you and a recording of the webinar. And as Rosalind mentioned, we'll have time for some questions now. And my colleague Allison has been kind of looking those over, and will pass them on to me. Allison.
Hi, good morning or afternoon or evening. Here was one question that came sort of separately. Do you have any suggestions for how to get customer testimonials?
Okay, yeah, many of us are shy to ask people for this. What I found is that as soon as somebody even says something positive to you, or if you've got a particularly good customer, draft one up as soon as you get this positive feedback. Like, read it yourself, send it to them, and ask if you can use it in your marketing. You'd be really surprised at how many people do say yes and don't make any changes. And another thing is, though, be very specific about what it is they like when you draft it. For example, don't say, the shoes you make are great, but rather, your shoes are the most comfortable walking ones I've ever had. I didn't get one blister after, even wearing them for the first time on a long walk.
Another question, and thank you for that, Susan. Another question, I'm sort of marrying a few together here. Are emails really still a useful tool? Are they still opening them?
Well, I've actually seen research that says email marketing is 40% more effective than social media marketing, at least, right now. But I think as social media continues to grow, and because it is so popular among the younger generation, this is likely to change. So I think that in your marketing, toolkit, you want to be using both.
Okay. But how much is too much marketing?
Okay, here's an example. I signed up for someone's webinar last week and probably got 5 emails from her within 2 days, a couple of which were sales pitches, not just reminders. To me, that's too much. I would definitely leave the more sales pitch things as follow-ups until after a webinar and you've started to develop a relationship with people.
And here's one that's sort of relating back to something that you are answered. What about an enterprise that just started its operations in 2020? This is regarding testimonials. Like, how can you suggest that we create testimonials?
Oh, well, I guess you could get your mother to give you one.
To start that credibility.
Well, you want, you obviously want your testimonials to be honest. You don't want them to be made up. but maybe there's a way for some people in your trusted circle, that are some of your service providers who know you and used you and who can help you in that regard. And I mean, obviously, I mean, if you're doing anything on social media, which many people do, that's where you get you get really quick feedback. So that's another thing to monitor and a potential source. Mm-hmm.
And another reason to sign up on social media. Earlier on, you said have no more than 6 tabs on your e-com
Yeah, actually,
website.
I heard this recently when I listened to an expert, an e-commerce, and she was saying that what she suggested is you don't actually need a homepage tab because most people know about know that they can just press on your name, but she suggested having the 6 should be shop, about, press, press, I think by that's kind of like news, blog, sale, and contact.
Okay. Another question. Are you familiar with e-blast Canadian regulations? And should
yeah, you definitely want to research that because there are laws. You have to have people's permission in order to be sending them content. So definitely, yeah, Canadian anti-spam legislation. It's called CASL.
The Canadian
so you want to Google
spam
it.
legislation or something like that. Okay. What are the different types of?
Yeah, well, I think this question probably refers to the fact that there are kind of 3 classifications of e-commerce. There's a B2B, which is business to business, obviously, and those are goods and services sold from one company to another. For example, when I showed you that Padraig e-blast, that's an example of a company that provides services to other companies, that are looking to develop their employees better. And then there's B2C, which is business to consumer, and that's when a business sells direct to a consumer. And that's one of the most common types of e-commerce. An example would be like an online clothing store or the online segment of some popular brick and mortars business like Walmart. And then there's consumer to consumer, and as you may have guessed, consumers sell directly to consumers through online marketplaces, like Amazon and eBay. So those would be examples.
Okay. Is there anywhere that you would suggest?
Well, actually, I know that one thing I would like to recommend is that Rosalind mentioned that I'm part of OWIT, the Organization of Women in International Trade, and OWIT Nairobi. You can find that at owitnairobi.org. They've been running some really good webinars on digital transformation and even getting into some more sophisticated areas of the whole digital space. So I would, definitely recommend that. Another good resource about e-marketing overall is something called HubSpot. So you could Google them and find that they offer a lot of free guides and things to help small businesses with e-marketing. HubSpot, HUBSPOT.
Sorry, that was HubSpot, HUB. Okay. And we have a question just came in from Oscar to mention some of the B2B sites that are more popular in Canada. And I'm not sure what is meant by a B2B site. Oscar, do you mean something like LinkedIn?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, Susan, to just wait for Oscar to reply. And we do, folks, have time for a few more questions if others have some more questions. As I say, Oscar's just typing that in for us. Oh, it's international, Susan.
Pardon?
Why do you suggest OIT Nairobi? It's just doing good work. Organization for Women in International Trade.
Oh, because they're running a series of webinars on digital transformation, which of course, relates very much to the topic that we're talking about today. But yes, OIT exists in many countries around the world, in Latin America, North America, and in Africa. And chapters are growing quickly in Africa. There's one in Nairobi, Zimbabwe, and Nigeria. Okay.
Oh, okay. Just returning to Oscar's questions, he's just referring to websites, business-to-business websites for transactions between companies.
I mean, there's obviously many business sites. I'm not clear on whether you mean something that's industry-specific.
Yeah, maybe we should move on to a different question that just came in. On your slide, Susan, LinkedIn was more popular than Twitter in Canada. And the question is Twitter an effective?
Oh, I think most definitely
for business branding.
I think businesses really like LinkedIn, and before people do business with new people, they often go on and sort of check out LinkedIn. And so I think it's really important to have a good LinkedIn pages. I mean, that don't sound just like a resume, but really show your expertise there for sure. It's very yeah.
But Twitter is very effective. Is that true?
Yes, I would say so as well. Yes.
So Twitter's an effective tool?
More and more people seem to be using Twitter now. I mean, when it started, it wasn't as popular amongst businesses, but definitely now it's getting more so. Okay, well, I think we've probably used up all of our time here. I mean, if you have other questions, certainly send them through. And I'll do my best to answer them for you. And once again, thank you all for joining in. I hope that you are very successful through these certainly new and different times. But we really hope that the information that we've shared today can help you. And please remember to complete our feedback survey. It's very helpful in terms of making us create upcoming webinars that will help you as well. So thanks once again, and I hope you all have a good day or evening wherever you are in the world.
And can I just add in, since we do have a couple of moments, one more question regarding the email blast, e-blasts. I'm assuming that we're looking at here. Do you know about a platform to do this?
Contact,
I think you might have mentioned
is one, and MailChimp, yes.
And the other was MailChimp, was it?
Thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar, and thank you very much, Susan, for this webinar. It's very
Thanks very much,
informative. So we will send out the presentations to those who do fill out the survey. So you will get an e-blast with the survey link, and then the webinar will also be made available on our website. So that will also be included in the e-blast link. Thank you all for coming, and we'll speak with you